Welcome everyone, it's Shari Carroll for SimonsSaysStamp.com, and I'm going to make a shaker tag using some of the new Tim Holtz clear stamps and stencils. So here are all four of the new ones, and I'll walk you through these just a little bit so you can see what is included. So it is a set with a clear stamp and stencil, and on the back you can see the image of the stencil and also the clear stamps that go with it. These stencils are really cool because they either have 2 or 3 designs per package. And the stamps are about 3 by 8, and this is the silhouette birds. The next one is one of my favorites. This is called Bunny Hop, and it has some silhouette bunnies on the right, and this stencil has 2 images included. With the size of the stamps, you get really nice large images. The next one is note quotes, and on the back you can see that the stencil has 2 of those images and also an image of all the stamps. These are great for art journaling and card making. And finally, the last one is bold botanicals, and this is a really popular size of a rubber stamp, but they're in a smaller design, and also the stencil has 2 of those designs included. So I'm going to be working with the bunny hop since I'm in such a spring mood. I am working with the Dina Wakley white tag, and I've removed the reinforcer at the top. And I'll also be using some of the Simon Says Stamp inks in Grapefruit, Zest, and Limelicious. I'll start off at the bottom, and I'm ink blending in the Limelicious, and I'm going to go about a third of the way up. Next, I'll start blending in some Zest, and I want to use this as a transitional color to the orange, since green and orange will make quite an ugly brown. And finally, I'll start blending in my grapefruit ink right into that yellow. Once I have my base colors laid in, I like to go back in and start blending just a little bit more so I get a good transition. Now I am taping my tag onto that stencil, and I'm just going to be using the top portion. So I'm going to mask off the bottom portion, and I'll have my yellow transition through another row of circles once I turn it around. I've chosen the darker versions of my original colors so that I can have a little bit of, by adding the darker color on top, that stencil line will show up a little bit lighter underneath. I've wiped my stencil down, and now I'm just sticking this down onto my tag to where I have the green showing, and then that yellow is in the middle. And now I can blend in some of the honey color just over the stencil, and I'll start blending this into the green just slightly. And finally, I'll finish my stenciling by using the darker Perfection ink until I'm happy with the design. I have some water and a watercolor brush, and I've just splattered onto my tag. And now I'm picking up the ink with the paper towel, and this gives me that really fun splattered look. Now that my tag is dry, I'm adding some of our 1/4" Terrific tape all around the edges because I'm going to turn this into a shaker card. I've cut a piece of plastic packaging, and I've left about a 1/2 inch border around all edges. And I'm going to start by unpeeling the Terrific tape at the bottom, and then I can fold this up and crease it with my fingers. I'll be folding up just 3 sides of my tag. I want to leave the top open so that I can add my sequins after I've done my stamping. To help me with this process, I'm using my Stamp and Stencil mat from Simon Says Stamp and Brutus Monroe, and I have it positioned in my MISTI, and I can put my tag in place. This will hold everything together just in case my stamps want to pull up on my tag. And next I'll place my bunnies in place right where I want them on top of my acetate, and I can move these around until I'm ready to stamp. And to stamp these, I'm using my white StazOn ink, and I can just shut the door once that's well inked and press this down. And then I can lift the door, and I know these are going to stick a little bit, so I can pull them away from the Stamp and Stencil mat. And now I have my bunnies stamped onto my plastic. Now that my ink is dry, I'm ready to fill up my tag pocket. And I'm using the Simon Says Stamp Sunshine Gems, and I'll just pour these into my triangle tray. By bending your tag just a little bit, it's really easy to fill these up. And I like to kind of check it out. I'll fold my tag over and then give it a good shake to see if I have enough sequins in for my liking. And when I'm happy with that, I can peel off the last piece of my Terrific tape, and I can Fold this over to seal it up. And for those small corners, I can add a little bit more terrific tape, and I can fold them over until they stick in place. And so that I have a nice looking back of my tag, I've added some terrific tape to the back, and I'm just placing this on a new tag. And once I have that lined up, I can press it down. And to finish off my tag, I clear embossed my greeting onto some white cardstock and did some ink blending and tied a knot at the top with some twine. And I just love how happy these bunnies look, like they're hopping around. I do have all my supplies listed in the description box below, along with a link to our blog post for our Did You Know series for March. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and as always, thanks so much for watching.
Hi there, I'm Heidi, Simon's mama and founder at simonsaysstamp.com. Thank you so much for watching our video. If you like what you just saw, be sure to press the thumbs up and subscribe to see more great content.